I've been threatened. You better have this book ready by the time the conference come up. And I'm looking at them like, I'm trying to put my wig on straight. You talk about have a certain...
Hello, welcome to the E7 Media Podcast. Here's your host, Isaiah Robson. And to my right side, of course, you already know Jenny, aka Jennifer Robson. Today, we have a very special guest with us today. I'm very excited for this guest because I've never spoken to anybody who actually published or who made it a career to publish books. So I'm very happy that we have a publisher today. She created multiple different things in her career. She created Labor of Love, evangelistic outreach ministries, which includes Let's Talk About Love, and internet radio program. She created Page by Page Publishing, which is her company. She created Treasure Trinket.
Yes.
Trinket by MG Page. She created a school for School of Remnant. Is that
School of the Remnant?
School of the Remnant.
Yes.
And she is located in what area?
Beaufort,
South Carolina. Okay.
Low country.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm just very excited to be here. I just wanted to really give her a welcome into the E7 Media Podcast, and the information is going to be amazing. The conversation is going to be amazing. I have multiple different questions about author and becoming an author, creating books and different sorts like that. So here is Miss Monisa. Welcome to the E7 Media Podcast.
I'm so excited. I feel like a pig in mud. Really honored and humbled, by the invitation, and just being here in a new place, new setting, and just new opportunities is phenomenal. It's awesome.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
I have a question, so we could jump right into it.
Yes.
How did you become a publisher?
Oh my goodness. Well, I was born and raised in the streets of Brooklyn. No, that ain't. I actually, I've always loved writing from a child. Reading and writing were like my passions, and still to this day. So much so that, my parents would have to threaten me, like, if you don't turn that light off and go to bed. I just always loved books. I would get under the cover with a little light and reading when I'm supposed to be sleeping. I mean, I really had it bad for books.
Wow.
And publishing really didn't become even a thought until I moved to South Carolina. I was born and raised in New York, and we've been living in South Carolina, my husband and my family and I, for about 11 years now. But the idea of writing didn't happen until I experienced some trauma in my life, and it took years of me holding that trauma in, trying to function through that trauma, smile through that trauma, like a functional addict, really.
Right.
And it just really began to affect all my relationships around me. And so God, with his awesome self, opened the door for me to become president of the parent committee at my children's Head Start. And the director there said, you can use the computer. Why did he say that? It's like poetry just started coming out of me, and I would just bang the computer. He said, you type like you angry at somebody, because I would just bang, 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 But it was so much, but it was through the writing, releasing those poems. Never thought about writing poetry, but that was the very first book. And how I knew that had to be published is because the Lord would lead me, let so-and-so read this, let so-and-so read this. And when I saw people's reaction, like people were crying when they read the poems, I was like, wow. So I went on the internet, and I didn't remember that I did it, but it was Author House Publishing, publishing company. Years went past. This one particular day when I woke up, went to check the voicemail at the time, the phone, voicemail built in the phone. And the man says, this is Rich Van Loo from Author House Publishing. We'd like to talk to you about you. I'm like, what?
Wow.
Didn't remember that I made the inquiry. And so I started from there. I had some experiences with self-publishing through another publisher, and my experience was okay, but it was in my spirit, and I heard it again one day. Just woke up, page by page publishing. I said, "Wait, that's my name. That's my last name." Page by page publishing.
Wow.
Yes, and that didn't happen until we moved here in 2011. It was actually birthed the year my dad passed away, 2014.
Wow.
And in 1 year, I had no schooling, no prior experience, except I love to write, I love to edit. English was my favorite subject. 8 authors in 1 year,
Wow.
2014. People that
that's
just
amazing.
heard through Facebook and different things like that got a copy of my book. Would you help me? Would you help me? And the rest is history.
So writing is just really a passion.
I love it's therapy for me. You know, it really is therapy, and I really saw that with that first book. Like I can remember going in like, I gotta get to the office. I was not excited about anything else, you know, but get into that office and typing out, and it was anything preconceived. It's like I didn't get a chance to think, well, I'm going to write about this today. I'm gonna write. I would sit at the computer, and the words would just come like water, and I had to bang it out. And I leave, print it out, put it in a folder, stick it in the closet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did that for a couple years until, divine timing.
Your story sounds a lot similar to Seth. Like, 'cause what he used to do, he used to think it was therapeutic as well. And he was like coming up with stories like out of the woodworks. It wasn't like he was forcing anything.
Right.
Like it was just fluidity. It was just coming. He'd be like, okay, boom. Just writing, typing, going. Do you think that's more of a gift, or do you think it's a skill that can be developed over time?
I would say it could be a combination of both, but I don't want to minimize. I definitely don't want to minimize or take away from God-given gifts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And every gift, you can become skillful at your gift. But a gift is something you're born with. And it's something I believe that you can't escape if you try to.
Right.
You know, there are baseball players that become skillful at the sport, but they may not necessarily be gifted in that area. There's some children that are just born to play.
That's a fact.
When they were little, they didn't want nothing else but a baseball. If they see a bat, they go crazy because it's in their DNA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I believe that with writing, it is a gift, but it can also be a skill that's developed. Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of both, you know.
Kind of
Gotcha.
both come. Because I used to write when I was in high school, and I used to just write. But when you don't know that it can turn into a book or it can turn into something great, you just do it as therapy. And then I like journals. I have journals, and I like writing down. I used to write down everything I think.
Yes.
But never thought about that it could be turned into a book. I didn't even know how to even start.
Right.
To
That process.
actually write. So I know there's a process. For the average book. How long would you say it would take a person to actually write, produce, from the start?
Yes.
How long, like if I have ideas, how long did it probably take me to finish a book? Because Seth said he did his like 15, he said, I did this like 15 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
And sat it on the shelf. You know, as a matter of fact, I think he has, he does have several manuscripts that he just wrote out, typed them out, put them on the side. Excuse me. I would say it depends, because some people write to a degree and then they stop. You know what I mean? And if it's like just your journaling, and that's my problem. I start for a season journaling for months at a time, and then life happens, or you get, and I put it aside. So I got like tons of journals with clean pages in it, you know. But if you have a concept or something that you know that you're writing about, and you're consistent with that, it depends on the individual how long it would take to get that manuscript complete. You know, so that's for that part. But then when it comes to the publishing, it also depends on how much editing is necessary. You know what I mean? Because the publishing process involves editing, layout, making sure that context and everything is in order. And so I've had some authors that had everything was just done. All I had to do was lay it out, design the inside, and do minor corrections with spelling or grammar, punctuation, like that. But then you have some projects that actually become borderline ghostwriting, because all the tools are there. You have characters, if it's a nonfiction, a fiction type story. Characters are there, the concept, events, but it needs some more embellishment or enhancing, you know, to actually reach the reader and have a storyline that is fluid and it flows, you know, and there's real context and meat to it that speaks something other than just those words on the page. So that process can be a little longer. So I would estimate if your manuscript is already done and ready, depending on the number of pages, that can be done in a matter of 3 days.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes. And once you sign off on it, you'll have your book in 48 hours or less.
So ghostwriting, elaborate a little bit more what that entails. Ghostwriting.
Yes. So with ghostwriting, I have someone that said, you know, I want to write a book, but I don't write well. My spelling is terrible. You wouldn't be able to read nothing I write. But I have this story. And so I'll interview them and get some ideas about what they want to talk about. And it actually becomes a process where we set up scheduling, have an appointment to do like interviews. I'm asking you questions about significant events based on that particular thing that you want to discuss. And then once we do that, then I develop chapter titles, put it in order, and then have them, you know, of course, proof it, and then say, oh, wait, I forgot this. Let's add this. That is a more intricately detailed project, but it's very rewarding because I've seen it become really therapeutic for the reader, for not the author, the person. Yes. And I'm like, well, this is turning into some counseling, you know, depending on the subject, you know. And so it's very involved because you literally are pulling that book out of the person.
You know, that's where I'm at. I can write, but I'm not. I think when I was a little bit younger, I ain't say a lot this time, a little bit younger, I would write. But now I know what I want to say, but it's just me actually sitting down, putting it on paper. That's my challenge. And that's why I was asking you more about what you do when you do ghostwriting.
Yes.
Because I probably would be that person that it would have to be pulled out.
Right.
You know, in a sense, and the grammar and all that. That some people are gifted,
right,
to be able to write.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the grammar is great. The context is great.
Story is great.
Stories, everything is great. That's not me at this point in my life.
Yeah.
It's like, let me tell you my story.
Right.
Could you do something with my story?
Yes.
And
that's ghostwriting.
Oh, a question just came up because you said you had a book in you, and you said you had a book in you. So over time, especially, you said the traumatic events really drove you to really start writing and really start publishing your own books.
Yes.
So do you think individuals with a story should like promote, like should create books and promote, pretty much create a book, and so they can help individuals who are dealing with their, like, the situation that they went through? Or do you think anybody can make a book?
I would say, and again, that's like a twofold combination type answer to that question. Anything that you have experienced in your life, if it's learning, like I have a brother who learned how to get free cruises. He wrote a book about how you can get free cruises. That's very informative. It's something he has experience in, and it helped a lot of folk that want to go on vacation. You know what I mean? But when it comes to life experiences that are maybe traumatic or life altering, life changing, I think writing is one of the best ways to get that healing, that remedy, that encouragement, that chain breaking,
Right.
you know what I mean, into somebody's hands. Because your answer's not always going to be on the screen. You're not always going to want to sit and look at Facebook Live to hear somebody's story or watch a television program, Dr.
Right.
Phil. You know, you may have to, that book may be your homework, so to speak, or part of your self-care. You know what, I'm going to take a chapter a day, or I'm going to take whatever, take some notes. You may not have planned it that way, but when you actually open that book, and I've had that response from people like, oh my God, I'm reading your book and it's like you're talking to me. And I think that's the blessing of being able to write books, publications, you know. And by all means, use the writing, but also because we have so many other means of communication. There's some people that maybe not able to read a book. They could be blind, or maybe their literacy is not up to par. Then you can have it in an audio book form. Or some people love Facebook Live. They want to see your face, you know. Yeah, but writing is definitely, I would say that people who aspire to share their story should do it with writing. Everyone should not publish a book. There's some stuff that's out here that is not conducive for growth or edification at all. But it's a free country. You can write what you want to write.
Right.
But you had like Hitler that wrote Mein Kampf. How you going to destroy a whole nation of people, you know? So all writing is not created equal.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it can be therapeutical for a person.
Oh my God, yes.
I think that we live in a time now where I think it should be encouraged amongst especially young people
Yes.
because of the mental part.
Oh.
They have so much going on, and we was talking about suicide, and I encourage. I like what you said. If they could just write their feelings out, just it may not have to be published, but it can be therapeutical to help you not have all that bottled up on the inside.
Oh my goodness. I'm
You
a
see.
witness to that, because even aside from the publishing, I have had to journal. Like, this is my personal space, just me and God, where I can express myself without anybody judging me. I don't have to worry about if, you know, anybody approves of what I'm saying. If I'm hurting, I'm hurting. And yes, I said this because this is my personal space where I have that freedom to release what's inside of me. But not only that, in the process of me releasing that, I get to see, it's like the problem is here, the pain is here, but then the hope comes too.
Right.
As I'm writing, it's phenomenal. It really is amazing how therapeutic that writing is. It's so much so that I forgot to I actually forgot about this, but one of my dreams and my goals is to have a literacy foundation for young people,
That's awesome.
inner city kids or less fortunate children, so that they can write and even have their own little books published as a source of income, and for those that really desire to become authors, you know. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And
That's
it'll be a
awesome.
tutoring program too for literacy, you know.
That's awesome because you be even with children.
Yes.
To give
Yeah,
them
at a
an
very young
avenue
age.
where they can
Mm-hmm.
just write.
Yeah.
One of the things you said that I love is, this is my space, and I can write what I want without being judged.
And you said
Yes.
something real key. You was able to solve your own problems even by reading what you just wrote.
Yes.
Like that just gave me confirmation to write. Like, I need to start journaling. I need to start having like a time early in the morning when I get up, and just like, where's my thoughts, where's my mind? Because if I write that down and then I read it later down the line, I'll be like, you know what? I was feeling this way because I did this.
Yes.
Or like, I'm feeling that way because I did that. Like, you're able to solve your own problems
Yes.
just by writing out your thoughts. So that's really good.
Yes, I think that's a real good benefit to what you just said, because you like what was I doing at that time that made me
Right.
feel that way. So you can identify triggers, and that word has
That's good.
become
That's good.
very popular lately. Triggers, like something set me off. What was that? You know,
Mm-hmm.
but to identify those things, because you really get to learn yourself, you know, and be confident in being yourself without apology. This is my makeup. This is how it is. This is what affects me. I know to avoid that, so I don't have to snatch nobody's weave. You understand? Let
That's
me
right. Yeah, and you know what's amazing? When you write, you can't. I used to do that when I went to church.
Yes.
Like I said, I have journals.
Yeah.
And I would write down the message, I would write down the date, I would write down the time, and I would write down what it spoke to me.
Yes.
Because,
Personally.
right. Because we all hearing the same message, but we can all interpret it based upon what's going on in our life.
Yes.
And I would write down, and I would go back, years back, I would go back and open it up, and I'll be like, oh, wow, 19, blah, blah, blah.
Go back, you was like,
At 11 a.m. And I would, Pastor, this, and I would look at the scriptures and what I wrote, and I would be like, wow, this is what I was
going through at that time.
thinking, and this, yeah, it was really, it's interesting because he'll tell, I have journals. Wow. And
yeah, she got at least about 10, maybe 15.
Yeah, wow. I just write, and they're books, like, and I fill them up, and once I fill them up, I'll go get the next one, and then I'll fill it up, and because I was one of the things that we're going to be doing is we're starting a journal club.
Nice.
My daughter teaches school, and she was like, people don't like to write anymore.
I'm a witness.
And I said, well, let's get them. Sometimes you want to write.
Right.
Correct.
Sometimes
it's
you
so
need to.
true.
And you need encouragement.
Absolutely.
Sometimes if I want to write, but I connect with you and you like to write, then you can help me. Like, we can meet once a week and talk about what we wrote about.
That is so helpful and therapeutic. Oh my God.
And motivation and accountability comes in.
Right.
So it keeps up with the consistency.
It does. You know what I see when you're saying that? I see vision. Like, because when you know how the scripture says, iron sharpens iron.
Yes.
So there may be something that you see in what I wrote, or something that's revealed to you that I need to hear and see, and vice versa. And like you said, that encouragement and motivation. As a teacher myself, I see Lord, don't let me get in trouble. But I see the way things are set up,
right,
to try to minimalize those things that are necessary and helpful for our children to grow and prosper. And writing is one of those things. I was shocked even when I was in college to get my bachelor's about this third grade to prison pipeline. They use third grade literacy scores and MAP scores to determine how many prisons they're going to build. Wow. You can find that on the internet.
Wow.
And I was ready to snatch up somebody then and roll her over with my car when I saw that.
Wow.
That's terrible.
It's horrible.
It is.
And then they have another pipeline from high school. It's literally on the internet. You can find it. But my professor introduced us to it, and everybody was like so angry leaving the class. And from what I've seen, the things that we are asked to do as a requirement by the state, these babies need a place.
Exactly.
They really need a place where they can be expressive and express their gifts in different ways. Some of them may not be able to spell, but their language, their spoken language is phenomenal. You can get somebody to transcribe that. You put it on paper.
And they're dreamers.
They are.
They can. What happens? Why I like writing, and you help me with. I like it because I can dream. It makes me. I become very creative because it's my story, is what I see. I remember when I was in college, I had a professor, and she was grading our papers, and she was our English professor, and she said, when you write, become descriptive. Like, don't just say the sky. She said that's not descriptive. Say the sky is blue, it looks gray. I see the clouds are soft, they're white. She said because writing is very descriptive. You got to be the best writers in the world. She said the ones that are descriptive.
Yes.
They can paint the picture.
You can paint the picture because when you're reading, it paints a picture.
Yes.
And she really, I mean, she made us. If you wrote about water, you had to say what the water was doing. It was ripple effect.
Yes.
It was deep, and the water looked blue, but at the end it was gray. She said those were if you look at, she said the best writers in the world, you know, especially those love novels and stuff, they're so descriptive that when you pick it up, you want to keep reading it.
Yes, it pulls you in.
It pulls you in. It really pulls you in. And my question to you is, we was talking about ghostwriting, but if I wanted to write a book, what would really be my first step? What would I have to do?
Get out of you what's in you. Like you said, you journal. I've had I've had people mail to me scraps and pieces of paper, like on their lunch break. Oh my goodness, I had this idea, and I always say, travel with something to write with, because you never know. Or we're so electronic nowadays, so you can type it in your notes or something like that and make sure you store it.
Right.
Because those pieces do come together. I would say that's the first step. Just get it out. Write it out.
Write it down.
Whatever. It may not make sense. It may not be organized. It may look like Chinese. Just write it, Yeah. And then the organization and the pieces come later on, but just get it out. Get it out of you. That would be the first step. Just get it out.
To get it down.
Get it down on paper. Yes, or in your computer.
Okay, and then being a publisher, what would be my next step?
Your next step would be to fill out your homework, because I give a questionnaire package.
Okay.
With questions. It's a bit of questions, not too much, but I want to know who you are as an author. I want to know who you are, first of all, as an individual. Why are you writing? Are you looking to become New York Times bestseller because you want to buy jewelry and stuff? Are you trying to reach people? Do you find value in your experience? What are your hobbies? Those things kind of give me a picture of how to help you, if that makes sense.
It does.
And then I use that information later on if I want to have like a book summit or author summit or gathering of the authors, and just sit down a round table, something like that, a workshop for upcoming authors. I pull those questions or the answers to those questions to get an idea of what people like to write. And it's different from time to time. It's like in one season you see everybody's writing about their trauma, their life story. But then you have another season where it's, I got a cookbook, or I have a how-to, or it's interesting how those things change depending on what's going on around us, But anyway, so yes, you would fill out a questionnaire with the application, non-refundable application fee. I would look over the work and determine what level of editing is necessary. And then based on that, there are 2 tiers. There's one with general basic editing, and then the second tier is a little more involved with punctuation, context, all that kind of stuff. And then once you and I get together, we discuss what the editing levels are needed. We set your expected date of completion. What other, if I need to interview you, or we need to meet up and discuss, these details and pulling out a little bit more, you literally tell me what you're trying to say. I put it down and I fashion it and organize it in a readable format. Decorated chapters, we go over that together. And then from that point, once you sign off on, you read it, we proof it together, you read it, sign off on it, and then you go to print. We do your ISBN, your copyright, your book cover. And it sounds simple. It's really not difficult. It's really not that difficult.
I've known some people, they wrote books, but when I read it, it was a lot of grammatical errors in the book. I didn't think it was really published well.
Right.
And they was trying to sell it too. That's where I want to. How do you determine price point? Because you're competing, right, against a lot of people. Everyone like to believe that their book is going to be the bestseller.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But you're competing against a market full of people.
Yes.
Right.
How would you how do you separate yourself?
Mm-hmm.
As a publisher?
Yeah, as a publisher, like you producing, say you do a book for me.
Right.
Right. I write it, I send it to you.
Right.
And you determine, you'll read it over, and then see if there's grammatical errors.
Right.
Which will be corrected.
Yes.
Okay.
Fully edited.
Fully edited.
Yes.
Correctly. And then from there, my book is what? Published.
Right. So it's printed.
It's printed.
It goes into print. You determine how many copies you want to have for your first print.
Correct.
So I think the question that you're trying to get out is, how do I value my book on the market?
As far as price value.
As far as price value.
So to me, and you say, how do I separate myself? Every book is worth $1,000 because, okay.
I love it.
Yes.
Love it.
This is your story.
Right.
Right.
You know, this is your baby. This is your story. You kind of, you are taking big boy, big girl steps to air your laundry out to the world.
Right.
To help somebody. You know what I mean? But not just that. You should be compensated for your gift,
Right. Right.
And for your creativity, and for that willingness to share with the world. You know what I mean? I always try to compare price with what I see that's out there.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
say, for example, I have one author, her book is like this thin, but it's powerful.
Right.
It may have 5 little chapters, 3 pages each, but it's powerful. I let the author determine. I give them advice on what to charge, and then I let them determine what they want to charge. Now, I've had some say, I want $25. No, boo, you can't do that because this. I'm sorry. You want to sell the book,
Right.
You
Right.
want-
Right.
you know.
You don't want it to sit.
Exactly.
Right. So it's. I think it's a matter of judgment as far as the quality, because I'm definitely not trying to put nothing crazy out there. We don't accept every manuscript. You know
Right.
what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Which is why we have that application process. But it depends. I would say it depends on the quality and the meat that's in the book. So even though her book was very small,
It was powerful.
very powerful. So what I encouraged her to do was charge $15 for direct sales for the people that are in front of you. But if you have to mail, then you charge $20 to include your shipping and things like
Everything.
that.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha. When you're reading authors' manuscripts, do you look for a certain like story, like niche, genre, anything?
Well, part of that application process, even preliminarily when we set up our first consultation, is, and that's free. That I don't, tell me what your book is about. And then in that application process, you are saying what this book is about, the audience you're trying to reach,
Gotcha.
what made you feel the need to write this book. When I read it, I'm looking for, that's a good question. Because it's hard to say. I don't know if I'm really looking for anything at that particular moment, except for what I see. That may sound strange. I've had manuscripts presented, and after speaking verbally to the person, they'll say, "Oh, my story's about this, and that," and I'll see little pieces of that, but then I see something else.
Right. It's
You know
not
what I
flowing.
mean? Yeah. And then so I'll revisit it with them and say, I understand that this is what you want to express, but there's so much in between here that you could fill in to really make an impact on what you're trying to say, because you want the reader to literally walk into the book.
Right.
That's what happens to me with good books. It's like I can see when they're talking about mama cooked, breakfast, and I could smell the bacon coming. I could see smoke coming from the kitchen up
I
the
remember my
stairs.
psychology teacher was
You
talking
know?
about that. She was like, if you see like certain colors, certain like words will like just catch in an instant. You be able to smell it, you be able to see it, you be able to feel it sometimes. Like it could be that deep.
Really?
Like in some books that I've like read, because now I'm starting to get more into reading, but
that's good.
like I can actually envision like a movie almost. Like I'm like right there with the character all the way through. Like this book that was made by Dan Da Vinci. I can't remember the name of the book. Oh my goodness, I got it from the library, like the free books. But pretty much it was about a cryptographer who was a part of the NSA, and the NSA was like this secret top organization, like agency that nobody ever heard of. And they was researching and they was trying to find out more information about it, and it was actually like a hack in the like cryptocurrency market, and she had to pretty much come up with some sort of algorithm to be able to break like the virus or something like that. I'm not fully through with the book, but it was a good book, and it when she was going through the security for the NSA, I can feel and see the whole like security like it really reminded me of like a couple of different movies. Like you're going deep into the vault, and then it's another door that you have to go through, and then they scan your body, then you go through another door, then they like they spray you with some sort of yeah. But it gave me that vibe, and when I was reading the book, I'm like, dang man, I'm addicted to this. And I'm like,
see, that's what I'm saying, a book when you can, when the book is doing it just captivates you. You just pulled in.
It just pulls you in. You can't
it's
stop
like
reading.
A movie. It's just episodes, TV episodes. I don't watch them. They pull you in
all the way in
because you reading and you watching and you want to know what's next.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's next?
That's how you get to that binge watching.
Exactly.
Like, I ain't do no laundry. I didn't do that. I was supposed to do.
It's like, what's next? What's next?
Right.
And I remember I was watching this particular movie. I must have sat there, and this is really not me. I must have sat there. I wanted to see each episode. It was like 2, 3 in the morning. I was like, what? I can't believe. And I wasn't even tired. I just kept watching, wanting to know what was next. What was next?
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, I have a desire to write.
Yes.
Right. Because I like writing. I have so many things happen to me in my life. But I don't, I like fiction.
Yeah.
I want to tell a story, but I want you to benefit from the story.
Right.
Because there's so many people out there that tell stories, and the book is good.
But you don't get nothing from it.
But at the end, what was the true message?
Right.
Like Acrimony, that movie.
Oh.
That movie
serious.
was.
Yes.
That movie really.
That was something.
Yeah, because to me, it's sometimes we throw in the towel too early, even though it's been a long time.
Yes. Yes.
If you wait that long, why not wait?
Right.
But then also, you waited that long, and you still don't see the results. So how long?
Right.
How long
it's
can
twofold.
I hold on?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
But when I read a book, and this is to encourage those who are out there who want to write. What's the message of your book?
Right.
At the end.
Right.
What was it really saying?
Exactly. You want to give your reader something to carry on.
Right.
That they can actually look back even as a reference, like what life lesson, how can I apply this? How would it affect me? And it's something you said even about the Acrimony movie. You literally put yourself in the character's shoes, like, well, it couldn't be me.
Right. That's how you know the movie's good, because you there.
Yes.
You talking to the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you thinking about, like, if I was in that situation, I would have did that.
I'd have did
yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're back. We're back. We're back and better than ever. We just had to take a slight break, but a question, since we was already talking about talking about like reading the manuscript and actually like having a plot point in your book. Do you think at what point should the plot like implement? Because just like a movie, just like a video, just like a book, I can be reading, and he's just the author or the director can be just dragging me along all the way through, and then he can have the plot point at the very end. But I didn't stay that long to get to that point. So what's the best point to really to show the reader that this is what the book is written for?
Mm-hmm. I think it depends on the content. It depends on the subject and the content. There are some stories where let's say in the beginning, you get kind of an introductory background of, who mama and dad and the dog, and we lived on the prairie with log cabin,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of get a visual as far as the setting and the characters of what type of timing, dispensation, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
they were in, what things affected them, and then you'll get into certain conversations that give you more evidence and clues of what's actually going on.
Mm-hmm.
There is generally a climactic point, like this high-rise point. It's like whoa, and then things kind of calm down and taper off. You get into the end.
Mm-hmm.
That is one way to do it, depending on the content and what you're trying to say. Then there are other publications, I would say, or other ideas that need to hit you hard from the very beginning, because the subject matter is so critical. Sometimes you may want to start with a statistic. Did you know that X amount of thousands of children have committed suicide in the United States within the last so and so and so? It's like,
Right.
And then you may want to get into the story from that, and that may not necessarily be the plot, but that is the meat of what you're getting ready to say and delve into. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it really depends on the content, I would say. Now, there was one recent manuscript where it was a borderline ghostwriting, and I'm like, okay, wait. I'm reading the manuscript. I'm like, okay, wait, we got to end this somewhere, because we're going to end up losing people.
Because it's
so dragging on, and I was getting tired. So I said, okay, wait, we going. And then so it ends up, and I kept saying, Lord, I think this needs to have a sequel. Sure enough, the author, hey, I think we got a sequel. I was like, yep. Yeah, we're going to have to close this out and start working on the next piece. Yeah. So it depends on the content.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm working on mine.
Yeah.
I just got to find the time.
The time.
Yeah.
That's critical.
I was going to say, how do a person who want to write?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been threatened. You better have this book ready by the time the conference come up. And I'm looking at them like, I'm trying to put my wig on straight. You talking about have a certain. I ain't think about writing nothing, But I think that it's almost like you get into a zone, if that makes sense. That's how it happens to me, and it's like I have no choice but to write. It's like a baby. All of the things that are going to be in that book is developing inside you all the time. You may not even be thinking about it. You're not thinking when you carry your child, I think the fingernails are growing today.
Right.
You're not, you know what I mean?
Right,
But it's happening. All of those things are happening as you go along. And then when it's time, for that baby to come, you don't have a choice. Them pains be hitting. Right. And that's how it is with writing. It's like, oh God, I gotta get this out. If I don't, I'm gonna explode. And then, with my schedule, I'm like, okay, I know when I get home from work, we're going to grade these papers, and that's it. Now I'm finished with that because I got to get this out, And so I honestly, wholeheartedly believe God creates that space for you to birth,
Timing.
The timing and season.
Well, I'm waiting for God to birth my space because I've been,
I think it's coming sooner than you think.
I start, because writing is it can be so inspirational.
Yes, indeed.
But time. I'm saying time. It could be right there. I'll be like, oh yeah. And then my phone will ring. I'll be like, oh, let me get this.
Distraction.
Yes,
yeah. Or I'll be like, okay, I got 20 minutes, and I'll sit there, because I was doing that one day. I was sitting there, and this is for the writers who think they want to be writers. I was sitting there, I was writing, and I was flowing, and then my husband came and asked me something, and that was bam, it was gone.
My husband can attest to it too, because he be coming, honey, I'm like, no, get out. No, not right now. Because when you in a flow, you don't want to lose that momentum, because it's constantly flowing, you know. And the slightest thing can make you want to snatch your wig. Somebody coming in.
Because it's like it just stopped. It's like turning the water off.
Literally,
like
it just cuts that flow.
So how do you? What is your? And then we're not going to keep. We're going to get ready to close. Yeah. What is your suggestion to a person who wants to write?
Yeah.
And they need to. How do they? What could I put in my schedule?
Yeah.
To, what do you suggest to do so I can write? Because the passion could be there.
It's true.
The passion could be there, but Jesus.
I know, because my phone is full of titles, and I'm like, I don't know when I'm gonna be able, you know. But the mandate is there. I know it is. I know it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I would suggest, first of all, you always know that to pray, but to designate time, like say, for example, I don't know, let's just use this hypothetically, right? Maybe your Saturday mornings, if you have your Saturday mornings free at least for an hour or two, block those 2 hours just for that. Just for that. Get in your quiet space, tell the dog go hush up, don't bark in here, you know, and designate that 2 hours. Then if you find that you have another 2 hour block sometime during the week, then grab it. But at least pick one day, maybe a Saturday morning. Those 2 hours I'm devoting to writing, nothing else. And if you sit there and nothing happens, it's gonna happen, but nothing happens. But you're creating a space for something to happen with intention and purpose. You know what I mean? Yeah. It has to be, because some stuff you just got to take by force. Like, look, I ain't doggone it. This 2 hours is what it is. And if I sit in here and twiddle my thumbs, I'm sitting in this space. I got to get in that space. Because sometimes all you have to do is just show up.
And then
it just flows.
Well, I really would love for us to do a workshop. So you could teach to everybody, to teach us how to at least get started, you know, to at least get started. And there, like I said, you could have, like, I want to write, but how do I write? Where do I start? You know, my grammar is not good, and they learned about, you just said ghostwriting, and you know, so I'm just grateful that you came today.
Thank you for having me.
To just share your company, and to know that from this point we can expand even more.
Right.
Even more, where you can really take your gift and teach people. And then even some of them, like I said, may come out and publish books.
Right.
Some may just be grateful just for the fact that they had the ability to get some of those thoughts out.
Yes.
Yeah. And now they have the tools and the principles.
And I love the fact that you do full editing.
Yes, ma'am.
And that what I was told, you work close with those that you're helping.
Oh, yes. And their family.
That's so important.
Oh, yes.
That's so important, because some people, when they start out, once their book is published, they pretty much on their own. And, you know, you still need somebody to kind of help you market your book, or, you know, just set different things up for you.
Absolutely.
You know, and be truthful.
Yes.
That's what I like. If the book is junk, is garbage.
Right.
If it's a good book, it's a good book. If it will it be a bestseller? I don't know.
Right.
I just know it's a good book because, like I said, everybody want a bestseller, but every book that you write may not be a bestseller, but it may be a good book.
Absolutely right. And, you know, our slogan is making his voice heard. Making his voice heard. So, and that's one of the reasons we don't accept every manuscript, because if he ain't talking, I can't help y'all. You know what I'm saying? I don't mean no harm. I really don't.
Right.
But that's my assignment, you know. And it has to say something to people where you can see who God is. He's hope, he's love, he's restoration, he's peace, he's healing. It has to, if it's a cookbook.
Right, because you're a Christian
I am.
publisher.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's not leave that out.
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Right, so people can understand that
Right.
you know, you're not publishing any and everything.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, I've
That
had
you
some
have.
manuscripts with some nice French, good French. I don't know nothing about French, but we would mean yes, Lord. But like, I really want you to publish this book. I've seen, okay, there's a way to express this without that other language, because most of the readers speak English anyway.
That's
You
right.
know,
That's
so-
right. That's right. That's right.
But that's what it's about. And like I said, even in let's say the workshops, people need to see him.
Right.
You know, need to
Right.
feel him. You know, and it's some of the simplest things that he does. You know, it's him. You know,
And it's beautiful when you can feel, you know, his presence in your writing.
yes.
Yeah. So
Oh,
I am
yeah.
going to really work hard to set aside time.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Please,
I can
ma'am.
just write mine.
Yes, I know.
I'll
Blow
go-
your phone up. I'll
Yeah,
call
yeah.
you every Saturday. Hello.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I
And
do
did you
want
begin
to
reading? I mean, writing?
I do want to talk about your book, The Gateway to 31 Days of Prayer.
Gateway to Glory. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this book.
Oh my goodness. So that particular copy that you have is the special edition.
Okay.
The first Gateway to Glory was based off 31 Days of Prayer that the Lord had me do on my internet radio program, Let's Talk About Love. Every day when we would pray, I keep saying we, but I was, you know, me,
The Lord.
angels,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And we would pray, and whatever came up, whatever the Lord brought up, particular targets to pray about and prophetic words and things like that, I would chronicle it. And that's how the book came to be, the first one, 31 Days of Prayer. So then when he dealt with me about going back and doing another one, I said, oh, no problem. I'll just pull from the first one. I picked that pen up, and it's like to melt in my hand. He said, no, ma'am, you will not. You know, I literally had to consecrate myself, which we should be doing anyway, lay before him and get direction. And when I tell you a download, I still, that book was published in 16, I believe. I just got a request the other day. Listen, I need a copy of that book. And it's about prayer, but it's also about the clarion call and urgency of the people of God. I'm telling you now, you ain't gonna get no trophies for being a prayer warrior intercessor. You're not gonna get no special seat at the table. That's not what this is about. Souls are dying. And Jesus is about to wrap this up real quick. And you know, you don't need to have a pen on you to say, I'm an intercessor so-and-so. That is your mandate. God put you in a certain building, on a certain street, in a certain region, in a certain company, for you to watch that ground and pray and fight and war and, you know, utilize your keys to implement his will here on earth as it is in heaven, period. You know, it's not optional. He said, when you pray, not if.
That's right.
You know, and
That's
so
right.
that's really what that is about, and it's real talk.
Well, this is going to be wonderful. What Miss Page decided to do is we're going to have some giveaways.
Yes,
of
ma'am.
promotional books. So
Gotcha.
for anyone who DM us,
Yes,
we
absolutely.
will get a book to them. Now, everybody is not going to be able to get a book. We can't supply
Right.
1,000, 2,000 books, but the first ones that DM us, we will get with will get with you.
Yes, ma'am.
And we'll get them a book so they can be a part of the book club. And what I want to do is actually, when we do the book and they read the book, have you come on the Zoom and be able to talk to those who have read the book in case they have questions, because I believe that we're all hungry for good information to get our lives on track. And you don't have to work hard to get off track. But you got to work hard to stay on track.
Absolutely.
So,
the maintenance, you know.
Yes. And I'm going to read the book, and we will definitely let you know. We'd love to have you come back. I definitely want you to come and we do some workshops. We could talk more.
I'll be honored.
And we can really build a nation of people to even help. Even I would love to even do just a writing group, just for
like
people
a writing
who,
seminar.
Yeah, just for people who want to clear their minds.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Absolutely.
And I'm really getting
That's ministry.
Towards a lot of
young I just
people.
caught a vision just outside, like us like sitting outside in the front and having our blankets, music, and having the sunrise setting, and just us just writing.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Teach them how to do it.
Just writing our thoughts and then discussing it with one another.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bring lots of Kleenex. I cried dog commercial. Just bring it.
Because we great things are coming.
Right.
And I don't believe that this year that's coming up, and this might be posted, this probably be posted in 2023. I believe that there's answers that people are asking about, and the answers is like showing up. You know how they have the computers now and something and it just look like it's in the air, and it's just that's
just
what's
pop
happening.
up right there.
It's being downloaded, and so in this time right now, stuff is being downloaded. It's just showing up, and we just got to be there to see it.
Yes.
And I believe that's why you're doing what you're doing, and I believe greater is yet. Like, okay, you was get ready to do something to your life, but because you know how to write it out, we got you. We got this one. We got, it's gonna be beautiful.
Oh my God, yes.
Because it changes people.
Absolutely, and that's what it's about.
It changes people.
Changing lives.
Again, she wrote Gateway to 31 Days of Prayer, Glory. It's really Gateway to Glory.
Yes.
And this I don't even have to open the book yet, just the title.
Even the title, he just
Gateway
downloaded
to Glory.
it. I'm like,
Gateway to Glory.
We need to know about these things.
Yeah.
Amen.
We need to know. But I feel so good.
I feel good. This conversation has been just
it's awesome.
amazing.
Blessing
amazing.
to me, a
Awesome.
true blessing and
But
encouragement.
we will have you come back,
for
because
sure.
you definitely have. I believe there's more that you can share. I hope you don't mind being busy.
No, man. Listen, I put some braids and put on my glue for my wig. I'll be all right.
That's right.